bracelets. I'm going to start with a couple of pieces of bamboo, a couple of flooring scraps, and a couple of pieces of Purpleheart. And they're roughly 1/2 inch, 14 millimeters thickness. Need to set the saw at 22.5 degrees to make an 8-sided box. And I'm just using this calibration to double check the gauge setting on my saw. Okay, on my saw sled I have a stop block set so I can hopefully get an overall length of each piece 1 1/4 inches or 31 millimeters. Okay, and I'm going to use an acid brush to spread the glue. I want to have fairly good coverage. Okay, and I'm going to use a couple of 3.5 inch hose clamps to pull this together. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to use my disc sander to flatten the end of this 8-sided piece where it attaches to the lathe for turning. And I'll make sure the table is square to the disc. And we're good to go. I've turned this piece of scrap hardwood into a cylinder on which to mount the 8-sided piece, and I've left a tenon or a pilot to center the 8-sided piece, and I'm just going to turn it down to the diameter, of the inside diameter of the 8-sided piece. Okay, good fit. Okay, some glue. And I'm going to add a piece of scrap onto the an oak disc onto the outboard end. Bring the tailstock up against it. And use that to clamp it for half an hour. Okay, next step is to turn this into a cylinder. Fairly high speed, very gentle cuts. I like to mark the stack so I can realign the pieces afterwards. Now the next step is to slice thin pieces off this 8-sided sleeve. So I've got my skinniest bandsaw blade installed. I'm just going to touch these to my disc sander. Okay, I'm going to remount the 8-sided piece in the lathe chuck. Lined up my indexing marks. And we take a decision here on how to align the pieces. And for a start, I'm going to go exactly 1/16 of a revolution out of alignment. Aligned 1/16. And now I can bring the tailstock up and hold these pieces perfectly aligned and clamped. After the glue is dried for half an hour, reset the fence and take another slice off the same thickness as the first. Take a good firm grip and don't let that thing get away. Okay, back to the disc sander for a touch-up, and we'll glue these together again. Okay, I've got a little better camera angle to view this. For this bracelet, I think we'll stop at 5 slices, and I'll separate it at this point. So what I'm going to do now is just complete turning the bracelet as much as possible, inside and out, and then I'll separate it, rechuck it in reverse, and finish turning and sanding the opposite end. So I'm going to try and cut this into a nice cylinder, and using the gouge and just applying Lathe 101. Hold the gouge up on its side, rub the bevel, rub the backside of the bevel, and take very shallow cuts. The bamboo isn't the nicest wood to turn, so it's prone to splintering, so it's important to have a really sharp chisel. I've ground this with a grinder for a primary grind and then used a little diamond file to put the secondary, the final sharp edge on it. Almost ready for sanding, just a few more passes. Okay, ready for sanding. Progressively finer grits of sandpaper, leaving the outside of the bracelets slightly curved. Use a parting tool to remove the scrap from this end so I can turn the inside. I've got it turned to an inside diameter just under 2.5 inches. I find that 2.5 to 2 5/8 makes a nice diameter, inside diameter for a bracelet. Managed to get it down to about 3/16 of an inch thickness. A little more sanding and they'll be ready to separate it. Okay, I took this over to the bandsaw and cut the bracelet loose. And now I'm going to put it on the chuck with the jaws on the inside and just clean up this edge with sandpaper. I'm going to try to cushion the jaws with a little bit of tape. And we're ready for some sanding. For finishing, I just like to use spray polyurethane, the simplest and the quickest. I've moved the bracelet out a little bit on the chuck fingers, and I'm just going to spray it right on the lathe. I'll have to reverse it and spray the inside that's covered up by the chuck teeth. Now, isn't that a neat way to use up some pieces of contrasting hardwood? These are made to be worn as bangles, but I have made bracelets where I make a cut, sand the ends smooth so the bracelet can be sprung to a little bit larger size. And they're surprisingly strong. They'll withstand quite a bit of spring. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for forwarding information on my channel to other folks. And I hope you subscribe. Thanks.